Hello, today we're going to be doing our 500 subscriber special. That's right, I made it to 500 subs, and thank you all so much. I super appreciate it. It was really exciting seeing that number tick over, because I was checking it all day, just checking it, $4.99, $4.99, $4.99, and then it finally clicked over, and it really made me happy. Sorry I wasn't able to get this video out right as it ticked out over, but it was a really ambitious little video where we will be doing 5 runs today. A Alchemic Carbine, Symmetrical Lance, Hayabusa Gauntlet, Marksman Bow, and Nutcracker focused run. And pretty fun. I did, obviously for time's sake, I wasn't able to give like a full big in-depth analysis on every run. I sort of had to do like a more condensed version, like a 18-ish minute run of each weapon. But it was super fun doing this project, getting frustrated over like a 4-day period trying to do 5 runs with specific weapons. Sometimes it just doesn't go as planned, and yeah, there's not really much more to say. We have the important links down below, Discord, if you want to come join and know when I'm uploading stuff, a couple of the guides, stuff like that, and I will just jump into the first run. So yeah. So for our first run, it's going to just be a really nice and simple Alchemic Carbine run. This was actually the last run I did overall for this set, for these 5 runs, but I really want something that was just nice and easy. I do end up getting whacked by this elite rampager, which was kind of an unfortunate addition, but you know, you're gonna get a couple of hits. But eventually we do find a little upgrade to our Alchemic Carbine, one that's pretty solid, spreads oil and does bonus damage at max HP. And we do have a light speed here, which is actually going to play a big deal much later on into the run. We're not going to keep it forever, this specific one, but we're going to see that light speed actually ends up being one of the most broken items I've probably ever seen in Dead Cells. But we get through Arboretum. It's a super easy map for Alchemic Carbine because of the mushroom boys and bats everywhere. You're able to just get massive poison clouds off, and we're just kind of trying to get a build going. I don't want to do Alchemic Carbine plus Hakuto bow in this run. I kind of wanted to do, you know, just something else like a shield or a main weapon with it, like a melee weapon, something like a Seta Stiletto maybe. But yeah, it's going pretty well. You know, it's Arboretum, like I said, it's a pretty easy map overall. We got the cluster bomb and light speed for emergencies as well. I do end up finding the bloodthirsty shield eventually, and I take a gander, make sure there's any Alchemic Carbines. There is, but it's not quite what I want. I don't want to waste money on something that I'll probably end up upgrading later anyways. Plus, you know, I didn't have the money right then. But yeah, for the most part, pretty easy map with Alchemic Carbine. You just shoot one. I mean, almost every map is pretty easy with it, besides one of the ones I end up going to. It gives me a little bit of trouble later. But we end up going into Prison Depths with Vengeance plus Gastronomy. And one of the things people ask me a lot, especially with the Alchemic Carbine, is why run it in red when purple gives more damage. Obviously, with things like Tranquility, Support, Tesla Coil. Tesla Coil, there's a strong argument why ever run anything besides Tactics. But I don't want to run Tesla Coil in every single run. But the reason why I like Alchemic Carbine, especially in Brutality, is because the damage you get in biomes isn't really significant, because everything kind of melts anyways. You know, in rare situations, if you still have like a level 4 Alchemic Carbine going into mid-late game, it can be an issue, but everything still melts super quick. And then in bosses, you have much more bulk, and with something like Vengeance, also you can run Combo, which is gonna, if you really want, which is gonna give you way more damage in biomes. But in bosses with Vengeance, if you get hit once, you're gonna have more damage than you would have needed, and you're gonna have way more survivability. So I like it. Plus you have Gastronomy as well to give you some slight damage boosts, which really do add up with something like Alchemic Carbine. But yeah, Prison Depths, not super hard. I You know, I have the blood shield to parry. I have the magnetic grenade to help with hammers. And I end up kind of just getting through the map pretty easily. I get my HP back up to max, which really helps out given that 50% damage buff. And, you know, it's a weird one, but I end up getting hit by that slasher, which really sucks. That was an awful place to get hit. I really thought I'd be safe there, but I wasn't. Eventually I see this really good cleaver. I'm like, alright, I can probably carry that through the end of the game. And I kind of want that fire grenade, but I don't want to be completely out of money, so I just left the map. I don't know why I got hit there. I thought I was rolling, but it's all fine. This map has a bit of issue, as I found out. I wanted to go to every boss, so this was just kind of me in every map. And this was, like I said, the last run, and I hadn't gone to Ossuary yet, so I was like, alright. I ended up getting hit by that shocker, which really puts me in a dangerous situation. I ended up taking soldier resistance, and soldier resistance is kind of underrated. I feel a lot of people are like, oh, the HP doesn't come up until, you know, way late into the game. Right now I only have like 8% HP. Let's see, yeah, that was like 8 or 7% right there. But as we'll see, that very tiny HP boost that it gives here did make a big difference in this map, because right now I'm in a pretty dangerous spot, and we'll see. I end up getting hit here again in a minute by, I want to say, a slasher, and I think I might be this guy right here, honestly. But yeah, I start clearing out his crystals, trying to, you know, just get him down. And yeah, I tried to parry, I messed up, and that, you know, it's only 8% HP, but it made a difference. I probably would not have been alive if I didn't have that extra bulk. But yeah, blood shield still helping carry. I eventually start finding some food and start getting those huge HP buffs with gastronomy. Super great affix, or mutation. And, you know, we start, you know, clawing our way back. We have the blood shield, we have the lacerating aura, so we, you know, it didn't go great at first, but we're making it work. Now I do have bonus to burning oil on my cleaver, and I have an oil spread on my Alchemic Carbine, so I'm going to keep that in mind once I end up finding a flamethrower or fire grenade, which I find a flamethrower bonus to poison and damage reduction. I think about it for a second, but I'm like, yeah, because, you know, I love lacerating aura, one of my favorite abilities in the entire game, but I'm like, okay, it's too good of a combo. Now we're going to see on Concierge, one thing about him is that dot builds are actually not that great against him because of how quick it moves his HP bar down in succession. He ends up doing the aura a lot more often than a single strike weapon would, and I end up getting boxed in and losing the no hit. Unfortunate, just because I, you know, didn't play it super safe, and then I parried that for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking there. Like I said, this was the last run, so I kind of was like, I have Alchemic Carbine, I'll be fine. I can goof around. We go to Stilt Village. Pretty easy map. Has a bunch of parry options like all over the place, and a poison spread will go a long way in the real tight corridors it has as a map. So we end up seeing a upgrade finally to our Alchemic Carbine, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Goes good with burning, it spreads oil. I end up getting hit by that pirate captain bomb that must have just been there and I didn't notice it. Real unfortunate. I took a tentacle because I was kind of like, you know, I got an Alchemic Carbine, I'll be able to carry this run. This tentacle did nothing, by the way. I ended up using it as a bleed setter, which, if you notice, I had a blood shield before this, which would have done a much better job. So I really ended up doing nothing with this tentacle pretty much this entire run. Would have been much better to just keep the blood shield, but, you know, I figured it'd be a fun little addition to add. See this legendary war javelin, I really wanted to take it, but I was like, I'll keep the tentacle, that'll be fine. I'd also just done a run with war javelin, which we'll be getting to later. So hopping into Sepulture, I see his ice bow. I'm like, this is a really good ice bow, but I'm good. I'll just stick with the tentacle. Keep it fun. Keep it nice and simple. Like I said, the Alchemic Carbine with the Cleaver Flamethrower is just gonna destroy stuff at this point. So I'm gonna take my time with the curse, you know, kill each enemy slowly, and just wait for my opportunity. Never try to overextend with my pushing because Alchemic Carbine is one of those items that you just need one shot and the things will die eventually. So I do take advantage of a nice little mechanic here where you can shoot a wall and it'll still poison them, but it won't aggro them. Made it really safe to get my last few kills, and then I just kill that Inquisitor and we can continue on. After that, you know, well, like I said, I got the Flamethrower, I got the Cleaver, and I got the Alchemic Carbine. This map isn't going to be much of a threat to us, so I'm just going to kind of toss down my dot setters whenever I see a group of enemies and continue through the map pretty safely. End up getting the 60, which is going to be very important. Very important. Now, moving forward, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to bring into Giant, but I was like, you know, this general build will work if I need it to, so I'm not super worried. So I'll take a gander at the shops, at the chests, see if I can find something better. I haven't seen a new Flamethrower right here, but I don't think I take this one because I think the bonus to poison was just better for me. And for the most part, I want to say I kept this build into the map, but yeah, I'm, you know, just sort of clearing out the scary enemies. Do see a Swift Sword, which could have been really good, but eventually when we get through Giant, I see this light speed, and this was something that was literally discovered about an hour before this video was recorded. So I go in here, reforge it, and it gets heals at 15% HP when used, and that's per use, so that's actually 30% HP on a double use. So I'm kind of freaking out because it was just discovered basically, and this affix pretty much breaks the game. Light speed with this affix makes you invincible. Straight up, like there's nothing better than light speed with this affix. I don't even have a good build to go with it. I don't have cooldown reduction, but I'm like, I have to take this. So I end up swapping my mutations out for, I want to say Dead Inside, Vengeance, and Open Wounds, because I want my tentacle to be a bleed dot, basically. And as you'll see, literally the only thing that can kill you with light speed with this setup of Vengeance plus Dead Inside is going to be Malaise. And you have potions for that, you have food, you have plain good, but even in this Giant fight that I play awful in, like I do not play this well, you're going to see that this light speed buff is going to be fine. Plus with Vengeance, you're also going to get big damage buffs on your Alchemic Carbine, well, on all of your stuff, and you're going to just be able to take advantage of that because you're going to be able to heal everything back right away. Thankfully, this light speed also had oil spread, which helped out with the Flamethrower a lot, keeping oil constantly up. So anytime you get hit by this, you're just going to be able to heal back up instantly, and if not, you can just double light speed, and it, you know, it does decent enough damage. That oil's freaking out up there. What the heck? That was weird. But we're going to see, you know, I get some hits off. I end up actually dashing through that hand and being invincible. But Giant, you know, pretty easy boss, especially with something like Alchemic Carbine and Flamethrower. I end up getting hit there, but again, doesn't matter. Back at full HP. And yeah, it's straight up broken. Like, easily the most broken affix I've ever seen. I don't know how common it is. I think it might be similar to something like Corrupted Power with electrocutes enemies nearby, where it's easier to find once you're in late game. But I'll have to experiment more with it. But I got it on my first reroll there. So, Hand of the King afterwards. Pretty simple fight in general. Like, it's a scary fight. Hand of the King is always a threat. But, you know, especially with the light speed, we're going to be fine. And we're just going to take our time, make sure we dodge the hits before we attack, which is probably the most important part about this fight to note, is that you have to just kind of focus on the defensive aspect of it before, otherwise you're just going to struggle a lot more. But we're going to see this Cleaver finally go down, and gonna keep throwing our Flamethrowers. Gonna use our light speed to get over that platform and stay in the air. But we accidentally roll the wrong way and get hit. Unfortunate, but Flamethrower, Vengeance, and Alchemic Carbine are going to just shred his HP after that. So pretty simple Hand of the King fight. We got tagged, but not a real big deal. All three of our fights, we lost the no-hit. Unfortunate, but you know, we're invincible. It's not that big a deal. A little spoiler warning here. All these runs are going to end with 5 BC stuff, so if you care about that, that was your warning. And sorry, I'll leave a timestamp you already saw a little bit of the map, but I'll leave timestamps for each run start if you want to skip to the next run and just see up to Hand of the King. But going into Astrolab, we are going to just kind of keep with this same aspect. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of vertical options, which is going to make librarians a bit of a pain. This is where you really want something like Lacerating Aura or Powerful Grenade or Knife Dance, for example. And we see a guy with a starred affix down there, so we're going to clear that out. Going to just hit that librarian from across the room, and he is going to have a legendary force shield. And I'm like, screw it, I'm invincible anyways. Let's take the force shield with us. So this run, wasn't played optimally. We could have just kept the blood shield or a Hakudo bow, but it really just goes to show how strong Alchemic Carbine is. Malaise does become a bit of an issue, but if you look at it, we have 4 potions, so I can just drink that potion before I leave and refresh it before we go into the collector fight. And other than that, tower goes down pretty quick. Alchemic Carbine really handles these. With Astrolab, you rarely see enemies on their own. They're usually in groups of 2 to 3. So, good job, idiot. But yeah, you rarely see enemies just on their own, which actually benefits Alchemic Carbine a lot. So eventually I drink the potion, go up, and we keep the same affixes, same build. Really, the force shield's kind of just there for show. Figured, hey, I'll carry it into a win with everything. I probably should have carried the tentacle. I very rarely get wins with tentacle. But, yeah, we got the flamethrower, we got the Alchemic Carbine, all set up to just kind of destroy Collector. It's not going to be a hard fight. Again, I think this light speed affix is probably the strongest thing Dead Cells has ever had. I kind of paused there to... I think I was talking to someone. But, yeah, I think there's pretty much nothing this affix can't do versus the game. And he's going to go for his Ground Slam, which is the most annoying move he has by far. But we're going to get some good damage off there. I want to say we got 1 potion, maybe 2. But even if we only got 1 potion, he's going to go down a potion here pretty much instantly. Yeah, that looks like 1 potion damage. So, oh, he doesn't actually heal. Wow, I'm surprised. But yeah, he heals as soon as we get into the next fight. And we're going to get some damage off. Going pretty good so far. We're still in contention for the no-hit, so we're keeping that in mind. We're going to play very safe, very careful, keep our defense in mind first. Oh yeah, he's definitely on last phase, so he must have had 2 potions. So we're going to dodge the tornadoes, pretty easy. And he's going to go for his little fireballs, and he's like right at the point where he's about to drink the potion, but he doesn't do it. He goes for the stabs. I'm like, alright, that's fine. And he goes for the tornadoes one time. So I'm like, alright, no problem. I'll just dodge through. Pretty simple pattern. But actually get caught and hit him at the very end. So we lose the no-hit on all 4 bosses. This one in particular stunned quite a bit because, I could have just done a force shield hold if I had it there. But, at that point I was just bummed out for losing the no-hit. So I finished him off. But yeah, that was Alchemic Carbine. Obviously a completely busted bonkers item. Does everything it needs to. Kills bosses quick. Kills biomes quick. Consistent, powerful. Really one of the best, if not the best item in my opinion in the game. But as we saw, light speed, if you can get that fixed, depending on how rare it is in late game, it might bump light speed up to the best item in the game easily. Right up there, like past Tonic, because Tonic gives you a lot of stuff, but the one thing it doesn't give you is actual HP. So it essentially gives you a gastronomy small food every single time you use it, besides the malaise heal, obviously. But you can use stuff like Dead Inside to give you more malaise bar, or even things like melee, and then you can do like Dead Inside melee, Heart of Ice, and always have malaise protection up, cooldown reduction going. It is a bonkers affix, and I don't know how common it's gonna be, but if you can get it, absolutely go for it. But yeah, that was Alchemic Carbine. Really, really strong and stupid weapon. Our next run is going to come from the Symmetrical Lance, an item that I am generally pretty down on. I like the idea of it. It's supposed to just be like a heavy biome clear weapon that struggles versus bosses, so you could take like a Sim Lance plus a Giant Killer, but I really don't think that it does biome clearing much better than any other weapon, really. And we'll see how it gets like once we get deeper into the run. But the basic idea I had here was kind of inspired one by Azumarill Fairy's run of Symmetrical Lance plus Ice Shards, and that's what I ended up going with. But also, you know, just Ice Shards is such a fantastic weapon at carrying these slow, hard-hitting weapons that I figured it would work well. Now, unfortunately, I have a really rough start to this run, where the victim slow gets me hit there, and then he gets another hit, so I'm at 4 melees. But then I don't even have an excuse for this. I get hit by the knife thrower, then I get hit by him one more time, so I'm at 6 melees. I can't even really blame that on, like, anything in particular. The victim slow part kind of sucked, but afterwards, I didn't think that the Rampager would get another hit, and then I got hit a couple of times by the knife thrower. But regardless, we're at 6 melees, and are going to need to have a really good Toxic Sewers to kind of get our melees cleared into more normal condition. We basically need to have like a perfect Toxic Sewers. Otherwise, we'll probably end up taking Alienation into Corrupted Prison, which with a item that kind of takes a bit to get going for its build is going to be kind of rough. But we're going to try and keep this aspect in mind of you get the 2 kills in a short period, and then you take advantage of Sim Lance's pretty high crit power per swing and clear out stuff like elites by clearing out a couple of rats, for example, and then going for the Sim Lance on the elite. But for now, we're going to use our Lacerating Aura and our Stun Grenade to really help us clear out these bats, clear out these enemies, and we see that with the crit damage. It does alright damage. It kills the Puthrone zombie there in 2 swings. It's actually kinda... I've always thought that, like, the damage, even though it's high, it's disappointing for how awkward of a crit mechanic it is and how slow of a swing it is, that I feel like the crit damage should just be even higher, because I shouldn't like be struggling to kill elites with Sim Lance crits is my basic issue with it. However, you know, we do have the Stun Grenade plus the Lacerating Aura to just help us clear out all those bats, so we're going to handle it fairly well, and then we're just going to parry these couple bats. And once we jump up this wall right here, we're going to see a Stun Grenade with Poisons the enemy. So I'm like, alright, I can probably build around that. I could probably take in the late game if I'm being honest. But we're going to see that Stun Grenade with Poison is really going to help us out with just clearing out rooms. And afterwards, we're going to, you know, just clear out with a couple of Sim Lance crits and get through. We do have a perfect Toxic Sewers going on at this point, and we've gotten some melees reduction, plus we had that watermelon we saw at the very start of the run up top, so we have, in theory, if we can get through it all, only 3 melees, which will help. Then we see a Makes the Victim Bleed Root Grenade, and I'm like, alright, I got some stuff I can work with here. So I end up taking Heart of Ice because I have Cudgel, Victim Slow, Root Grenade, and Stun Grenade. I'm like, if I have trouble with this biome with all this slowdown, I should not. I deserve to die. But we have a Victim Bleed and a Poison on our Stun Grenade, so we have a lot of room to work around with our build. And unfortunately, like, I keep in mind, because I'm keeping the Ice Shards in mind, which we're actually going to find here in just a minute. Unfortunately, Root Grenade, because I'd be happy to keep the Stun Grenade in particular, because Poison's obviously better and we can take open wounds if we need. But Root Grenade has a bug on it right now, where if it gets oil spread, it just doesn't work. So we're going to need to keep that in mind on the Root Grenade, that if we want oil spread, it's going to have to be from the Stun Grenade. So I look at this, I see bonus to Stunned and Root, so I'm like, alright, I'll just, at the end of this map, I'll reroll for a oil Stun Grenade. I see this one, I'm like, it's decent, but I'd rather keep the oil Stun Grenade and then the Bleed Root Grenade, and just keep that combo in mind. Hopefully get some good synergies going to help Symlance through the couple of bosses, because it really does struggle versus bosses especially, and obviously not ideal. This Inquisitor right here is actually going to give me trouble, but for whatever reason I went for this Toxic Miasma, and I ended up getting tagged by the Inquisitor. Not a huge deal, because we're going to have Ramparts to get a Malaise heal if we need. Plus we have Necromancy, so we should be able to fix our HP situation finally at the end of all of these biomes. But I really don't know why I went for that Toxic Miasma. But we are going to clear out Corrupted Prison, go into Ramparts, and just take advantage of Oil Stun Grenade crits, and Heart of Ice, and Instinctive Master of Arms, which is our final mutation, and really start trying to get this run going. And for the most part, it's going to do pretty good. With Victim Slow plus Ice Shard Slow, we're going to be able to start our engagements really easily and just kind of clear it out. It's very similar to what you'll see with Seismic Strike, because it has a natural root to it. It will often be used, at least in my opinion, one of the good things to use with it is Seismic Strike with Powerful Grenade and Ice Grenade, to just sort of always have that burst damage up and your Heart of Ice up, and it works really well for that. So that's kind of my idea, is I'll have like a worse Seismic Strike basically. But we get to Concierge, and I didn't figure it was worth showing the full Concierge fight, because it's sort of just this motion you're going to see of me rolling behind him, stunning him with both my things, and taking him out with a full combo over and over again. I end up getting the no-hit because it's a really, really easy Concierge fight. And in all honesty, like, there's no point in showing the full thing, because I sort of just do this motion for the entire time. It's about a minute and a half of me rolling behind him, stun plus root, and we do get the no-hit, which is pretty nice. We'll get a legendary chance here in just a second, where we'll be able to hopefully get a really good item to really add up. Legendary and Curse Chasing is so good in survival for fixing those affix issues, especially that survival tends to have, where it can't get burned in oil or poison, the most reliable sometimes. So we look at what it is, and it is a Great Owl of War with Spread Oil, bonus to root, and Shot Pierce all enemies. I'm like, alright, well, bye Stun Grenade. It was nice knowing you. This owl is going to be able to kind of hard carry biomes for the rest of the game for us. And I go into Slumber and Sanctuary mainly because I wanted to get more scroll fragments going and more scrolls in general going. Still Village has less, obviously, but it has the health shop and access to... Actually, no, Slumber has access to all 3 maps, so it has that over still. But, you know, I figured I can get some gear up here and just kind of clear out the map pretty well. The Owl's really going to help with this early curse, and I don't know why I didn't go for those two. Mainly because I knew there was a bat over here. I was like, alright, the Owl can take that out, and I can just hop up here with my root grenade. And right now, my thought process, especially when I get to the shop over here, actually, no, I don't get to it quite yet, but for the most part, you know, Heart of Ice plus root grenade is going to let our Owl constantly have its super shots up, and we're just going to slowly make our way through the map. Victim Slow, letting us just destroy everything. But we're going to see a bonus to bleed Symmetrical Lance. I'm like, alright, I'm kind of getting some ideas in my head. I'm like, if I can get a oil spread on my Owl with bonus to bleed, and this is so greedy in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, I'll get oil spread plus bonus to bleed. Very, very easy, normal thing to get on an Owl. Shouldn't be an issue. But if I do that, I can probably destroy Giant with Ice Shards crits when my root grenade constantly go off. So that's kind of my idea going here. And that kind of goes back to the unfortunate bug of root grenade, where you can't get oil spread on it even if you have the oil spread affix. And because I don't want to have bonus to root, obviously, since you can't root Giant. So that's kind of my idea going through here. I do end up finding a better Symmetrical Lance here in just a minute, but that's kind of my idea, is like I have a bonus to bleed, Ice Shard, Lance, and Owl, which also spreads oil, and then my root grenade will act as a bleed source. And like in hindsight, I should have just like swapped the root grenade out for a stun grenade probably, and then kept the like a stun grenade with oil on it, and then, oops, sorry about that, then use open wounds with my Sim Lance is really what I should have done here. But for the most part, Cavern's going to be pretty easy because of this heavy root plus Heart of Ice setup we have going on here. We're going to clear it pretty quickly. And again, Victim Slow, so good once you actually get the combo going with it. We're going to jump up here and just, again, kind of keep clearing out enemies in a pretty consistent and easy pattern of they get slowed. If they don't get slowed, we throw a root grenade and some ice shards at them. Obviously, the skeletons can't get slowed there, but it's a really consistent pattern that kind of works with all survival weapons, and, to be fair, most weapons. So we end up killing this failed experiment here with the owl, and we see a much better Symmetrical Lance, bonus to poison and bonus to burn oil. I don't take it right away because I'm like, let me just clear out this section real quick, because our Sim Lance has a bonus to bleed, and I'm like, I'll just keep it for just a second, but I end up swapping it out afterwards, because it's a level 12 Sim Lance. So I get into here, I'm like, alright, just gotta reroll everything. I end up doing a few rerolls on this Symmetrical Lance, and I see this, I probably should have just kept that as well, honestly, but I'm like, we'll see what happens. So we get our ice shards that have bonus to poison and bleed, that's good. We get bonus to poison and root, that's good, works well with the root grenade. And I'm like, alright, all I need is the bonus to bleed owl, and I see that bonus to bleed, but it doesn't have oil spread, so I start getting greedy. I keep rerolling, I see bonus to poison with oil, and I reroll it, and I end up going to giant with nothing. So, real unfortunate. We're going to sort of need to do giant kind of the hard way. It is stun owl, so it'll help a ton with Sim Lance. Sim Lance is really not meant for any bosses, really, but this one in particular, it struggles a good amount with. But we see, I take him down probably about a 7th or so in one phase. So I'm like, all right. So probably just like 6 or 7 more phases, give or take, especially if we can get an owl doing its maximum damage by accidentally let his right hand get up to max charge super quick. So I'm like, alright, gotta jump around that pattern. But our owl's gonna be able to get some huge damage off here, take him down to probably about close to 50%, because he hasn't done the phase change yet. I end up getting hit there, unfortunate. Our owl's gonna be down for 20 seconds. So we're gonna need to kind of do things the hard way, dodge his attacks and take our time. But, between playing patient and the giant's kind of slower attacks, we can hopefully stay safe here. I took Dead Inside plus Vengeance to just really make sure I had the bulk needed for the fight. And he's going to do his slam, so I'm going to wait on my owl until some of those rocks are gone. That way I don't lose it right away, was my basic idea there. And it's going to do some massive damage to the hand, and I get tagged again. So the owl's gone for 30 more seconds. I'm like, alright, well that's unfortunate. But, we'll get some good damage off here with our Sim Lance plus Ice Shards getting some hits off. And we'll just get another phase, and then hopefully we'll be able to get our owl back up to finish it off. And, it was a slow giant fight. Obviously not ideal. Obviously a lot better than our ice crossbow giant fight that we did a couple weeks ago. But, Owl's going to be able to really shred his hands. I'm keeping an eye out on these fallen crystals, make sure I don't get hit by them, and just take him out. Don't quite get the kill off here, but his other hand is pretty low, so we'll be able to just dodge through this. And even if we get hit by this hit right here, which we don't, we should be able to take his hand out and kill him. So that was a giant, a little annoying, but we got through it pretty well. I decided to go High Peak Castle to try and get some money and get the owl to have oil again. I was like, I'm done being greedy, I just want some oil on this owl. I'll take whatever I can get, but I end up getting double damage, which is going to make High Peak a little scary. I end up taking Necromancy plus Disengage and Heart of Ice, I think. Should be Heart of Ice. And, I'm like, I'll just, Heart of Ice and Necromancy through this map. If I get hit into Disengage range, Necromancy's going to heal me right back up to 50% super quick. And even though the 100% damage owl is scary, it is a 100% damage owl, so it's going to kind of just clear the map really easily. So I end up, just slowly working my way through the map, trying to get as much money back up as I can, so I can hopefully reroll the owl and get some oil spread on it. And at this point, I'm like, alright, it's going pretty good. My stats are okay. There you see that crit, that double, it took 2 crits there to kill some regular enemies with 25. And that's kind of my point with, like, and I have, like, a level 12 Symmetrical and it's taking 2 crits to kill regular enemies. And that's kind of my point, is that, like, its damage is somehow disappointing even though it's high. But I get through, I see poisons the enemy owl with bonus to bleed. I'm like, whatever, I can work with that. I'll just go for a wolf trap in the final biome and make this work for Hand of the Cane with no oil going on. So I stick with my mutations because I don't want to do a super expensive reset and for 3 biomes. And I'm like, alright, just have a good Hand of the Cane fight and we will be set. We just need to basically get the 1 kill off here and we should be able to Great Alvor through the final biome. So Hand of the Cane, obviously we don't have the best build for him because we don't have our ice shards crits to get some cooldown reduction, but we do have a root grenade with Heart of Ice, so it's going to be okay. And we're seeing we have decent enough damage to be able to get it out. I almost got hit by that flag. That was kind of scary. But yeah, the root grenade is going to give us a few seconds. We do end up getting hit there, unfortunate. No hit, but you know, it's Symmetrical. I wasn't expecting to get a ton of no hits with this and bosses. But we do get our owl and our root grenade back, so we are going to just let that owl get in some massive damage, and we are hopefully going to be able to get him to phase change here, and we do. So pretty good. We're going to take our time through these enemies here. We see just an elite zombie and an elite inquisitor. Nothing too scary there, but we end up getting hit by the Inquisitor at the very end. Unfortunate. Inquisitors are sniping me lately. But our owl's already back up because it wasn't using its max damage modifier. So its cooldown wasn't as bad when we got hit. And we take out Hand of the Cane with not too much effort. It didn't even hit us into disengage range, so you know, it was pretty safe. And we're going to keep our Heart of Ice plus Necromancy strat going into Astrolab with the same idea. We're going to use the root grenade and the owl to sort of just hard carry with ice shards, and you know, the Symmetrical, unfortunately, actually it shouldn't be too bad in this map. Astrolab tends to have 2 enemies, you know, it has enemies clumped together, but not like a ton of enemies that you'll see from rats. I could not believe that bomber hit me right there. It was real unfortunate, but you know, we're going to just kind of let it all play out and slowly but surely make our way through the tower. We do end up having a skill shop, which is nice because we can get the wolf trap at the end of this. I keep the root grenade just because of the vertical aspect of it. Will help a lot with librarians, so I'm like, I'll just keep that for now, and we'll get the wolf trap before we leave. So we're clearing Astrolab pretty well. Necromancy is always going to make sure we're in disengage range and just keep us pretty safe. In general, we're going to slowly make our way down, and we do have pretty good stats at this point. 6, 5, and 30 is going to help us out quite a bit with going into, you know, it's kind of about where you want to be going into Collector, but for the most part, tower's not too hard. We do have the owl to sort of just hard carry the game, especially because it's a poison owl. And we'll be able to get its bonus to bleed going on in Collector. We get the wolf trap, which has oil and I want to say toxic spread. So, you know, we're real set up for success here. So I ended up going with, I want to say, Master of Arms, Heart of Ice, and Open Wounds, I want to say. Yeah, no, Heart of Ice, Open Wounds, and Triage, just to, for whatever reason, I was like, I'll get a no-hit here. But we trap him in the wolf trap and just get some hits off. He goes for that. We play it safe, dodge the grenades on the wall, and we roll through, let him do his thing. And we do pretty good. I want to say that was the first potion. That looks like first potion damage. But it's going pretty good so far. We are going to clear out these enemies pretty quick, and we end up having some crits, so we'll be able to hit them pretty hard for a couple of swings. And with our owl plus our ice shards having bonus to poison and bleed, they're really going to be able to just rack up damage quick. And we hit him one more time, and yeah, that's his second potion. So we're just going to keep doing our thing and pretty easily get him down into range, where we're going to roll back and forth between the tornadoes, and he's going to whack me again. So, had that happen a couple of times now, where he potions right at the end of the tornadoes, and real unfortunate. I guess that's why you gotta do the dodge rolls the other way, where you run away from them and then roll in. But, you know, we lose the no-hit, and then he hits me with one of the fireballs, so I'm like, alright, I'll just potion real quick, and dodge his laser beams, wait till I hear the sound effect on it, and he's gonna roll, so I'm going, but he's trapped in the wolf trap. Pretty solid collector fight. The owl and the wolf trap, you know, destroy this fight. Slow down in general kind of destroys the fight. So, all in all, my thoughts on Symmetrical Lance is that it is still not that good. Because, in my opinion, it doesn't do a good enough job at clearing biomes to warrant how bad it is at bosses, especially because there are a lot of ways you can cheese biomes. You can use the Heart of Ice with powerful grenade plus ice grenade on like a seismic strike, or even with shovel plus ice shards you could do that, or giant killer. Obviously we have the Exodia build with oil grenade, giant killer, ice shards, tonic, where you can sword space tank all of the biomes, and the ice shards plus oil grenade aspect of it helps you clear out the biomes, while the giant killer obviously destroys bosses and elites. And yeah, Sim Lance, I still don't like it. I still think it's pretty weak, and I really would appreciate if it just had more crit damage, honestly, because the crit damage should be what makes it strong, but even when it's crit, and we saw a couple of times that it isn't doing anything more significant than any other hard-hitting weapon like a broadsword would, with like a line up the platforms and then you do your double swing and overhead swing and it just pops an elite. So yeah, Sim Lance, pretty but I got the win with it. So yeah, let's just move on to the next run. So up next we're going to have a Marksman Bow Run, a weapon that I really like, but it obviously has some pretty noticeable issues. I really think it just, if it did either slightly more base damage, like any base damage at all, basically, or had a shorter crit range, it would actually be a really good weapon. But we're going to try and make it work, you know, we're going to go through the motions of things. We do have a knockback shield and some ice armor, and apparently the inability to parry today, because I got bodied by that knife thrower. But it does have, and this one has some fire spread. That knife thrower just, he was aiming for my swarm, and I didn't even know he was there. That was unfortunate. But, you know, we're gonna, it's not like the melees matters much for tactics. We're gonna probably take necromancy later, so we don't have to worry about the melees too much if we just play decent through things. And we're gonna get an owl. I'm like, yeah, this will help us through. I probably should have kept the ice armor plus a lacerating aura, honestly. But we're going to have these long hallways for Arboretum, which is going to let us get these Tranquility boosted crits off, rip that guy. And, you know, those crits are going to do some really good damage, especially once we get a stronger marksman bow. This one has the fire spread, but doesn't actually have any boosts, and it doesn't have, like, the full power Tranquility boosts that really help its damage. The knockback shield is going to be very helpful here because it's going to let us just keep that distance from enemies that charge in on us like a rampager and then kill them in one crit. You're going to kind of see it right here. I do that and I crit them. And for the most part, it's going really well. We have some really good scroll count already. I want to say we got double purple dual scrolls, so really solid. And then we're going to actually end up swapping out our lacerating aura for a Wave of Denial, which is going to help keep that separation aspect of the build going. It's going to let us just kind of bounce an enemy away from us immediately if we get too crowded, and just works out really well. Wave of Denial is such a good ability. And I noticed this right over here. We have a curse chest. So our scroll count, and we saw another purple dual scroll down there. We're going to have 9 purple at the end of this. We do have a Tesla coil. I'm like, alright, I don't want to run this Tesla coil the entire way because that item is broken. It is way too strong. But I do have no shame using it to clear this curse for me real quick. But I end up swapping it out before I even go into prison depths, because, you know, I don't want to have the entire Marksman Bow showcase be another Tesla coil showcase. So, you know, we're just going to use it to clear out this curse, and then we will get out of here. You see that wave now puts in some, it's going to put in a lot of work throughout this entire run, actually, because the mutation we take after we clear out Arboretum, look at that freaking Jerkstrom. I didn't even notice that until just now in my initial playthrough. That Jerkstrom got stuck in the wall. Poor guy. But yeah, our stats are looking really good. And once we actually, like, get some build synergy going, instead just kind of like a random amalgamation of things, it's going to be really solid. We're going to path towards Mamatic later, but for now we're just going to clear out prison depths with an explosive decoy. This explosive decoy almost got me killed so many times in this run. It is such an inconsistent item. It's really frustrating, actually, like how sometimes it does really solid and then other times it just doesn't work. As you can see, that Rampager didn't even jump for it. Instead, he came after me. I'm like, alright, well, that's unfortunate, but we're just going to shoot down this long hallway and get our final kill. We do end up taking Pardon Gift, which is actually going to have some really, really good synergy with this build, especially once we get our next item, which is going to be a War Javelin, actually. And it actually also almost gets me killed, but that one was more my fault. Explosive Decoy just doesn't work, is its problem. See, that Slasher just ignores it. And like he obviously walked back over to it, but he didn't attack it at all. And I just wish Explosive Decoy kind of had like a detonate button. So I end up seeing this Firebrand. Pretty cool. I pass on it though, because I have this War Javelin that I'm pretty interested in. But I forget I don't have a shield. So I end up taking 2 hits here and being at literally 1 HP. So I'm going to slowly work my way towards killing this Slasher. In all reality, I should have healed as soon as I got this done. But I'm going to, you know, slowly get some crits off. Use the Wave Now to disrupt him so I can get some distance, and we're going to clear it out. And again, I definitely should have taken the potion there, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll use our Marksman Bow to get some good crits here. Use our War Javelin to escape and just keep our crits up. And that's kind of my idea, is I'll use the War Javelin to either escape and get a crit, or to push all the enemies away from me and towards a wall, and then if they're still alive, I'll just shoot off the Marksman Bow. And that was the idea. Works pretty well. I'm liking it so far, at the very least. Unfortunately, it doesn't really push these foggers back, so we're going to have to keep that in mind, especially in this map and any other, if we go Graveyard, which I believe we do. But for the most part, we're sort of starting to, you know, Necromancy's getting our HP back up. We're slowly making our way through, and we can use our Wave of Now, which one thing I didn't even think about up until I started seeing it in this run is Wave of Denial with Pardon Gift is actually going to cause the grenades to get that bonus damage with them. So, and then with War Javelin as well, if we throw it down a hallway of rats, it's going to just really pop an entire room, as we're going to see a couple times in this run. But we're going to just toss our Explosive Decoy. He's going to finally cause an enemy to aggro on it, and we're starting to turn this run around. So a good example of the War Javelin putting in work here is when we're crowded, and we're gonna see it happen quite a bit in this biome, especially because this biome has a lot of tight corridors. So it's really going to actually pay some good dividends taking it. Other than that, you see the Wave Now activating that bomb, similar to how a flashing fan would. There, right there, especially, right there. Popped a bunch of them. And we're going to be able to use that, especially if we're crowded in a room. And I want to say I do it right here as well. Yeah. And it's really just going to clear out entire rooms full of enemies, because it'll kill all of the rats, worms, bats, etc. And then those bombs will kill all of the medium HP enemies. So it works out really well. we do see a challenge rift here, so it's gonna help keep our already good scroll count. We're really going in this glass cannon, but it's gonna help keep that up. Eventually, we're going to clear out the curse, and then we do the challenge rift right away after, so we have some good stats. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, I just messed up there. Unfortunate, but we are going to be able to heal up pretty easily. I want to say that we just used the food shop after killing a couple of enemies up here. And get our last scroll fragment. I want to say this was the last scroll fragment, but yeah. Other than that, a little blunder right there. It was a pretty solid map. And Mama Tick, obviously, we're going to have massive range on her. We're going to throw that explosive decoy down. So as long as we, play it smart, don't screw up too much, it should be fine. And we're going to, go for the rolls, try and keep our reaction time up. We do unfortunately get tagged, I want to say right here. Yeah, unfortunate, but, we can get around it. I keep my worst javelin there in case I need to get away quickly, which I can do that and then roll. But we're going to see just some massive damage, plus a wave of denial prevents those grenades from doing anything. So I'm going to get back in the wall corner and roll as soon as I see the exclamation marks, and I accidentally roll into that because I didn't want to get hit by a double pop-up there. So it's unfortunate, but, what can you do? And we're just going to throw off our stuff, do our roll, jump, roll, and actually we're going to run out of ammo for a second here. So I'm just going to toss my war javelin, teleport over there, and she's going to go on the other side and die in 2 crits. I actually was worried those bombs would hit me as she died, but it went pretty good. Mama Tick, not the hardest boss in the world, but she can get some hits off on you. So we end up going into Graveyard, and it's really going to go well with this idea of we throw the war javelin and everything. And we finally, I'm like, alright, screw explosive decoy. I'll just use the smoke bomb, help me get some crits off on some weird elites maybe, like weirdly positioned elites in like a tight corridor. I can work with it. It also will let me like move around enemies well if I need it. So there we see that wave of denial is so good. Such a good skill. One of my, I don't run it a lot, but anytime I do, I know I'm going to have success. So I actually activate the smoke bomb here so I can climb down safely. And I basically just wanted to get a war javelin off into that catcher there. And then we clear out that room with wave of denial. And again, this idea of we throw the war javelin, then we shoot the marksman bow, just really, really working out well for us. Really fun build, actually. I'm probably going to play it more often. I do see a Frost Blast, which I'm thinking about taking. I'm not 100% sold on it yet, though. And I end up not taking it eventually, but we see that with War Javelin in these long hallways that are in this under area for Graveyard. We're just going to be able to do this number twice and just clear out the entire map. Unfortunately, that thing activates some buzz cutters, so I'm gonna panic. I'm use everything, throw the War Javelin, throw the Wave of Denial, but we're gonna smoke bomb, do that, and it's gonna clear the curse. And it's actually working really well. Eventually, we get to Sepulture, and we're going to see some Spartan sandals. And I was like, oh my goodness, I gotta play those. I really wish Spartan sandals would be a red-purple split. That way, the purple, they'll appear in the shop. It doesn't matter that they're not purple, you can still use them because they're a utility item, but they don't appear in purple shops. So it's unfortunate, but I really wish it would because they're really good with stuff like Valmont Whip and Marksman Bow, again, those tranquility boosts, and giving you that get off me option, very similar to what War Javelin here is doing. But I'm alright, as soon as I clear out this curse, I am taking that, and I sort of just I play it safe. I lure the mummy and knife thrower up there and see a couple enemies there. I'm alright. I also have upgraded my marksman bow at this point. I want to say it was a level 7 or something. I found it in my... Actually, I think I found it... It might be a level 9 because I'm pretty sure I found it in my door right before Mama Tick. But yeah, for the most part, you're gonna see this this idea. Oops, hit my hand. I also end up getting a double crossbow-matic, which I'm gonna swap out in a minute. But I was alright, I got a turret so I can have support if I need it. I have really powerful crits going on. My scroll count is starting to get kind of nutty at this point. We're finding good amulets, we're finding challenge rifts. We already have 30 in Sepulcher, which is an insane number. And Wave of Denial is just going to help carry us through. So we go to Timekeeper, and I almost don't switch my mutations. That would have been foolish. But I'm like, alright, I'll take Disengage, Support, and Tranquility, and I'll have just this massive damage. And I'm taking a Crusher, because that way I can just keep the enemy pinned down while I get distance. And I was like, that should really work out with Marksman Bow. And as a bonus to Poison with a Toxic Cloud Crusher, so I'm like, alright, I have some really good damage potential here. So I'm going to jump over that and then get a couple of crits off. Stun her with the Wave of Denial. Anytime she gets close, I should be able to kick her. Like there, where I missed 2 of my kicks, but I kick her way back, and it's gonna just really work out well. And she goes into her phase transition. I'm like, alright, probably 2 or 3 support plus poison crits should kill her. And I get the 1 crit off, don't get the 2nd, don't get the 3rd, but I finally get it off, and she just dies. So we get a no-hit on Timekeeper. Works really well. I don't think I take the Legendary. I don't even remember what it was, honestly. Let's see if I take it here. I want to say it might have been like something disappointing. It might have been like Swarm. That's usually what I get out of freaking Legendary doors, I feel. But I'm pretty sure I don't take it. Because I really like the setup I have. Oh wait, no, I know what it is. I do take it. I very much do take it. I finally say goodbye to our friend Wave of Denial because I see a Legendary Mushroom Boy. I'm like, alright, well, Mushroom Boy will knock the enemies back for me, and it'll just really help with this aspect of I can either kick the enemy away or the Mushroom Boy will knock them away. And it just works so well. I really wish Marksman Bow was still in green, honestly. It's good in purple, but it feels really outclassed. Ooh, sorry about that. It feels really outclassed by stuff like Quick Bow, Multi-Nox Bow, and it could have kind of its own identity in green with stuff like Mushroom Boy really helping it out. But obviously then you lose like the full power Tranquility, so it has pros and cons. But also wouldn't hate seeing Mushroom Boy as a purple item, because knockback really is a purple mechanic, I feel. And, we have Knockback Shield. I think Spartan Sandals can go well in it. Wave of Denial, obviously. So I wouldn't hate seeing Mushroom Boy as a purple item. He doesn't really... I don't think he'd be too strong in purple at all. But we're going to see Hand of the King. Very, very scary fight for Marksman Bow. It's really hard to get crits off because of how short this arena is and how big Hand of the King is. So I'm going to just start off with some kicks, try and get some distance. And he's going to dash. Unfortunate, but I get a crit. Yeah, a couple of crits off, actually. And going pretty good so far. Like I said, we're using our Spartan Sandals to push him back. But unfortunately, we take a hit there. Not too bad. However, we take another hit there. And I'm going to have to use my potion. And we're in kind of a scary territory because 2 more hits and we're probably dead. But, we're making it around. We're doing our jumps. And probably like the only part that Marksman Bow really struggles against is Hand of the King, because he is very scary for the item. So we clear out the elites pretty quickly, and we're going to get a couple of crits off. Really, really good damage there. And he's going to go for that. We're going to get some kicks off so we can get a couple of crits off, and he finally goes down. 243,000 on that last shot. That was really strong. But yeah, Hand King goes really well, and we're going to actually swap out to Tranquility, Necromancy, Disengage, kind of keep up, make sure we can always have Disengage up, and we're going through Astrolab, making our way, and, going pretty good. We have the really powerful crits, we have the Get Off Me 12 Spartan Sandals. Spartan Sandals also stun locks birds, so we're never going to really need to worry about those, but Mushroom Boy also does that, so it's fine. This guy being real annoying, but unfortunately, we're going to hop up here into this section, eventually, dodge this librarian a couple of times, and we're going to see just like this awful room. Just an absolutely disgusting room here in a second. So we got the bomber, then we got another bomber, then we have these platforms, then we have a failed experiment elite, and I have to drop down, and there's a laser beam. So I hit Disengage, and this is one of those examples of you should potion sometimes. You should know that you should potion. I am making my way. If I would have had 100% HP, I would have been safe, but I am going to just keep working my way through, killing enemies. Going pretty good so far, but because I relied on necromancy and didn't wait for my disengage to come back up, we are going to see that I'm going to get in a lot of danger here. Despite my very good stats of 533.6, we're going to kill this guy, and I'm going to make... It's going to show that dead cells really can punish one simple mistake. Bird, fail experiment, and we die. Real unfortunate. Really unfortunate. I was pretty salty. And I don't like showing losses a ton because, you know, why would I? It was a real big bummer of a loss, but it was such a fun run that I thought it's still worth showing off. I'll have to get my revenge with a purple run here in a few days or so, but I still wanted to show it off because it was really cool seeing the purple mushroom boy, the purple Spartan sandals, the Marksman Bow putting in work against Mamatic and Timekeeper especially. And, you know, unfortunate, but I do think Marksman Bow is a solid enough item. It just has a couple of critical flaws. I really would love to see its crit range reduced a bit, or increased, however you want to say that, to where it's like just tranquility distance will give you the crit. Because without that, it just gets so outclassed by multi-nox bow and quick bow having much more consistent damage. But yeah, that was Marksman Bow. I really like it, and let's just jump into the next run. So our next run is going to be a Nutcracker Run. I love Nutcracker. It's a very... It's not always the most, like, diverse weapon, but it's a very fun weapon, I feel, and it does have some really cool strategies. One that I've tried out recently that I really liked was a red build with Seismic Strike plus Nutcracker, where you root them with the Seismic Strike, but this is going to just be a green run. Very standard, traditional Nutcracker build, and we're going to get some really good setups in this run. But I do see this ice shard. I'm like, I can't, not yet at least. I don't want to be too brutal with, because Nutcracker plus ice shards with like a wolf trap is just, it's one of the most brutal things you can run in this game, honestly. And I was like, I just would rather run a Cudgel or a Frost Blast, which I end up finding a Frost Blast eventually that I stick with. But I'm like, alright, I got the Stun Grenade going on, I got a good shield and punishment, and we're just gonna kind of keep with this very safe but powerful aspect of we can hit them with either the Stun Grenade or parry them, and then just bonk them with a super... Nutcracker just does so much damage on a crit. And then we got the Tesla. Obviously, we're not going to keep that, but it's going to help us a lot in prison quarters. Eventually, we're going to hit Toxic Sewers. We did get the Frost Blast in a shop, so I'm like, alright, going pretty solid so far. I figured it was a safe bet to take Heart of Ice now. I'm like, alright, I got the Stun Grenade, I got the Frost Blast. I should be able to... It should be a safe bet. I could have taken Necromancy, but I thought it was a solid call. And we also found... I'll actually end up showing it off here in a minute later, but we found a Nutcracker in our 60 door that really is just not fair. It was it's a bonus to Frozen, so plus 175%, plus 3% to crit, and plus 60% to bleeding. So basically with Frost Blast, once we get a bleed affix on it, it should kill everything in 2 swings, no matter what. But I'm like, alright, we're set. We'll just... What I should do at this point is get the Root Grenade or the Wolf Trap soon. But for now, we got the Ice Grenade plus Stun Grenade combo. There we see I get a Crusher. I think my idea here was that I didn't want to break the Frozen with the Wolf Traps, was what I think that's what I was thinking in my head at least, but... It's fine. Crusher's still a very good item, but I probably should just take a Wolf Trap if I'm being realistic. I do have the Ice Grenade for like a burst option because Frost Blast does have that kind of slow wind up, so if we're in a room with a bunch of enemies, we might just want to, an example right there, just hit them with that. It also has a really long freeze, But for the most part, it's going really well. There we see that super powerful Nutcracker. I could carry that to the end of the game easily if I wanted. But I do end up swapping it out later. But yeah, we make it into Corrupted Prison. I see that City Slicer. I'm like, maybe I should take that. I'm thinking about it. I don't end up taking it, but that would have been fun. City Slicer is actually really fun in green. I don't think it should be green, but it's actually a really fun. I've gotten it a few times, and I always have a good time playing it. But yeah, we're just gonna Frost Blast and then bonk each enemy here. I want to say I got bleed on my Frost Blast at this point. I just re-rolled for it. But we're seeing these Inquisitors, and I kind of have PTSD from some of these other runs. This was one of the later runs I'd done. Out of I probably did 40 runs in a period of 2 days to get this set up. Because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for my 5 builds. But yeah, I was just I'm too scared of these Inquisitors. They've been sniping me so much lately, so I just took it slow. Finally got the kill there. And we're going to drop down onto this bird, and we're going to see that just Nutcracker does so much damage. And yeah, we do have the bleed on the Frost Blast, as you saw there. So most enemies will just die in 2 swings. It's so powerful. It does so much damage. But we're going to see a Toxic Miasma there, and we're just going to bonk it and finally get a double green amulet. Looking pretty good. We're at 2, 1, and 9, and by the time we get to Ancient Sewers, it's just going to get stronger and stronger. I took a Wave of Denial, obviously a great freaking item to take no matter what, but I'm not entirely sure why I did it. I think I was having buyer's remorse on that Crusher, which at this point, I honestly should just get a Wolf Trap. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what my problem is with Wolf Trap. I think, again, it was just I was so tired from all these runs. But, Wave Now is still going to put in a lot of work, especially with the Disgusting Worms. It's going to let us just clear out the bombs if we need to, anytime we see them. If we're in a situation where we can't jump away from them. But, yeah. Ancient Sewers, really, really solid map. Sometimes it's hard to find footage for this map because enemies can be really separated by... Both got lucky and unlucky because I had a lot of enemies clumped up in this one. So I got good footage for it, but, made it a little bit harder. But we do get our 60 kill there, which is really good. And I dropped down into this section, and I was not expecting just this nightmarish setup that I see. So it's 2 Shield Bears, 2 Felix Runes, and a Shielded Putrid Zombie. I'm like, okay, grab the scroll, reset my skills. We'll try this again. Get a kill. I'm like, alright, grab the other scroll. I'm really glad those scrolls were there. And then I just clear it out, slowly get the kills off, and end up doing it. I think I got hit once there, but ended up doing it with not too much worry. So we go into Conjunct. I have an Ice Armor now. I think I just didn't find a Wolf Trap, but I found the Ice Armor. I was like, alright, I'll take it. It's a great skill. But we're going to be able to get some massive damage off anytime we can freeze her. So you see that she goes down and fades super quick. So go over to the wall, wait for the tentacle to come up. And I'm surprised that it doesn't kill. I'm astonished that my Nutcracker didn't get the kill off there, honestly. Because I have the Gastro Boost. I have the Frost Blast. I have the bonus to Frozen. So it really was throwing my momentum off. I just wasn't expecting it, and it made this fight a lot harder than it actually needed to be. And he ended up hitting me from that side, which I didn't think he was going to. So unfortunately, we lose the no-hit on Conjunct, but can't get them all. And we're going to just chase her down. Frost Blast is just going to... We freeze her, miss that grenade there, and are able to get some massive damage off. And again, we're going to see that these guys just aren't dying in one hit. It's really throwing my groove off, because I was expecting to just hit them once and be done with it. And if I would have been more aggressive with my swings, I probably wouldn't have gotten tagged a couple of times there. And unfortunately, that wind up... I don't play Frost Blast a ton, so I just kind of wasn't even thinking about it. But... we get through it well enough that, take another hit there, but we do have Necromancy, so the Malaise isn't going to be an issue, really. But yeah, we get that, and we're like, alright, we're just gonna bonk her a couple of times with the Nutcracker, let her do her thing, and finally, we're just gonna slowly but surely get into a position where we can hit her twice, and hit her one more time, and she's dead. So it went well enough. Obviously, it wasn't the most ideal run, but with Slumber Sanctuary, we made sure to save a bunch of enemies near the beginning, so we get our curse. And other than that, this Slumber Sanctuary was actually really easy for the most part, besides the curse, which was a little scary. Because, you know, this map is just always kind of a scary curse. But we are going to get through it decently well. We have the Ice Grain, we have the Ice Armor, we have the Frost Blast. So it all sort of just lines up for success. And we're going to slowly but surely get our last couple kills in with the Frost Blast Ice Rain combo. I was just making sure there were no enemies there, and we got an Inquisitor here, so we're going to be able to take him out, and we have the Ice Grenade for those 2 bats over there. So, pretty easy curse, and then after that, it's a really easy Slumber Sanctuary. We just freeze each enemy and kill them in one swing. I want to say I might have upgraded my Nutcracker at this point, or maybe I do it in Clock Tower, which is where we end up going. But I do end up upgrading my Nutcracker here in a minute, but even still, it's just doing some massive damage. Yeah, I did upgrade it. So we get to Clock Tower, and we're going to just freeze these enemies, kill them, because, you know, we had the level 6 with all that great fixes, but, you know, the level 9 is still going to be really strong, and possibly be able to get some more fixes. I did see a Cursed Flamethrower that had bonus to Root and Bleed, I want to say, is what it had going on for. We do see a flashing fan there, so I'm like, all right, I'll get the Wolf Trap at the end of this with the Flamethrower, and it'll just be great. So we see an upgrade to our Frost Blast, so I'm like, all right, bonus to Burning Oil, plus bonus to Root. This is just really adding up to success. Oh yeah, I saw it there. It's Toxic Cloud, Spreads of Oil, and bonus to Bleed, I want to say is what it said right there. But yeah, we get through. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And we're... Oh, I think I had bonus to Root as well. Bonus to Bleed, bonus to Root, and Toxic Cloud, and Oil. It's crazy. Yeah, no wonder I took that. But I'm like, alright, I'll be able to just shred some of these bosses, probably, and elites. And we see I have 29 green in Clock Tower. So I get to Timekeeper. I don't even worry about Disengage. Probably not the smartest idea. Even in Survival with a bunch of stats, she can take your HP down quick. But I'm like, alright, I'll just hit her with the Frost Blast, get that bleed going, and then I'll hit her with Wolf Trap and Flamethrower, and she'll probably die quick. So we take her down almost to death range with one Wolf Trap, and I'm like, alright, we might have a no-hit here. We might be good. I get hit by that Shuriken. Unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. You don't always get the... Sometimes she just tags you, but... Yeah, we get the Necromancy heal on our Malaise, really good. We have the Flamethrower, we have the Wolf Trap, and we go Distillery, because like I said, I wanted to get every map, even if it involves my least favorite map in the game. I still think this map is awful, and I recommend never going to it. I think it has poor map design, poor enemy design, and it's not even a hard map. Like, any burst damage at all completely annihilates this map, and it just really is a tedious map to go through, I feel. But we get through it pretty quick. We wolf trap stuff, and we get to Hand of the King. It really wasn't anything special. Killed some enemies, didn't upgrade anything really, and I get to Hand of the King. So I'm like, alright, let's do this. We're going to toss our stuff down. I took Open Wounds just so I could always have Bleed Source going. But, you know, we do have the Frost Blast to kind of get some stuns on him, like some micro stuns, and then we're going to be able to just take out that, and I'm like, alright, maybe we'll finally get the no-hit on some bosses today, especially Hand of the King. It's always a very tough fight to get a no-hit on, but we see that, he goes up for it, and I'm like, alright, no-hit, finally, we get a no-hit, let's see what our thing is. But honestly, at this point, I'm like, I'm set. Other than Librarians, which are going to be pretty hard, because we have no vertical range, really, or quick burst option to kill them, we're pretty much set for Astrolabe. So I go into Astrolabe, I'm like, I wonder what my legendary is going to be. Maybe it's going to be something fun like a Lacerating Aura that I could take, or a Powerful Grenade. Obviously, Powerful Grenade is something you find on green, or Knife Dance, but no, it was just a Caloric Shock, which is a fine item, but definitely not on this map. So I ended up taking Frostbite. Because I have Victim Slow on my hammer, I don't want to aggro the freaking librarians much, because a slowed down librarian is very not easy to dodge. So I was like, I'm just going to take Frostbite. That way my Frost Blast can hopefully get some kills off for me in this map, and I won't have to worry about slowing down the librarians as much. And it worked pretty good. Like, I still have the Nutcracker to one-hit kill pretty much everything, but I wanted to keep the Frost Blast. That way I could just see that bomber get bodied there. I want to keep the Frost Blast as like kind of a main source, because with the slowdown plus bleed plus bonus damage to like poison and burning oil working with that slowed bleed, it just really ended up paying off and letting me kill pretty much everything with just one Frost Blast instead. And for the most part, it was a pretty easy Astrolab. Other than that, I took Disengage just so I could stay safe. Pretty simple. We're just going to, you know, climb the tower slowly but surely. Use Frost Blast to get kills off when we can. If we have the opportunity, we'll use the Nutcracker to get some Victim Slow and kill him. And just worked really well. So eventually, we're going to get to the end of this run. And I end up getting a 60 door here because I can just, you know, use the Homunculus Rune trick on these birds and drop down. And they're like, how do I do it? So you kill him. I end up coming back for him a bit later. I got like a Gastronomy boost, I think. But I end up seeing an Ice Shards in my 60 door. I'm like, alright, well, let's just end it with a quad bind. Go ahead and bonk the collector. So I end up getting the quad bind set up. Always fun to see. I'm like, let's do this. So Nutcracker's just going to do some massive damage starting off, but he ends up going for the grenades, which kind of ruined the wolf trap plan, and then he ends up going for the grenades again, which is just really annoying, but we finally get him locked in place and get him to get his first potion off, and we're just doing some massive damage, as you're going to see. Especially with the flamethrower plus wolf trap combo, just really shreds his HP down. I'm like, alright, I can get him to drink his third potion here, and he does. So we're in the final phase, and all we need to do is just not get hit. We've had so many times where he just got that last second hit with the stupid tornadoes, and then he starts going for the tornadoes. I'm like, I hate everything, but we get through it, and he's gonna do that. We're going to just slowly make our way through, and we get him to drink the potion. Drink the potion. Then we drink ours. He goes for the grenades, and we kill him before he can try those tornadoes. 245,000 on that last swing. Nutcracker is so good. So many builds with it. It's such a fun weapon. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's one of those weapons that is, like, it doesn't have a ton of variety, but the variety it has lets you play a lot of different styles with it. Like I said, there's the Seismic Strike plus Nutcracker one. There's the Frost Blast, Ice Bow, obviously. We have the Cudgel. It all just works out really well, and Nutcracker is just such a fun weapon. It was really nice to do a run with it. I don't know what was wrong with me not taking a wolf trap for 75% of that run, but once I did, we saw how just much of a monster it is killing enemies. But yeah, that was Nutcracker, and we will jump into the next build. To end it off, we have a Hayabusa Gauntlet Run, and I don't know. I still, like, even after this run, I don't know how I feel about Hayabusa Gauntlet. Sometimes I really love it, and then other times I think it's just like one of the most underwhelming items in the game, especially in late game. But I ended up having a really good run with it, even though I never, this was the only Hayabusa Gauntlet I find the entire run. So despite the fact that I have a level 4 one, I still managed to have a really solid run. But for now, we're going to have a Greed Shield, which is just such a good item. The buffs it got in 1.9 just help it to carry you through the entire game. We're going to see my economy slowly but surely just grow massive. So I end up taking a Corrupted Power and also missing that freaking parry. I'm taking a Corrupted Power to... Wow, I'm playing awful. To really just amp up my damage for the Hayabusa Gauntlet. Keep it going pretty strong and letting it get those kills off early on. Because for like half the battle, Hayabusa Gauntlet's basically useless. The other half, it's incredible. I end up getting a Fire Grenade. Really powerful item, obviously, and it's going to go well with like our ground slam spread and oil. And it's just going to be a little bit more consistent than the oil grenade at getting some kills off. More specifically in this type of build, like oil grenade's great in its own right, but in our, how did that hit me? In our corrupted power obviously spreads oil, so it's just going to work out pretty well. But we're going to see I'm just going to keep parrying these enemies slowly. I find a challenge rift just hanging out here. I actually find a couple of challenge rifts in this run, which helped with the fact that I never found a better than level 4 Hayabusa Gauntlet. Also, I ended up taking melee because it helps get the kills off early on the enemy. It helps you get into that crit range. And 2, I wanted to go with Heart of Ice with this build, so it just sort of all lined up pretty well. But eventually, I just kind of, keep going through Toxic Sewers. Pretty standard trip through the map. It's not a super hard. I actually think it's probably the easiest of the 3-star maps, and it gives the best rewards. But it doesn't give. It only gives one shop, which sucks. So it's kind of a trade-off of, do you want the easy map with the good rewards, or the 2 hard maps with the good scrolls, or the 2 hard maps with good build fixing. But for the most part, it's going to go pretty well. We're going to see this disgusting warm up here, and we're just going to really nail into him. We have a pretty good burning oil setup, so want to keep that in mind for our Hayabusa gauntlets, probably. We're going to get into Corrupted Prison, and we're going to just see a Death Orb. And I'm like, I don't feel like running Death Orb right now. We do end up taking a Lacerating Aura, though, because it's a Lacerating Aura, and will carry everything. I play it safe with this Inquisitor. Decided to just parry him, 4 times? Yeah, 4 times. Because I knew the other Inquisitor was down there, so I was like, I don't want to risk it. But, with Lacerating Aura, we're going to be able to just, especially with melee and Heart of Ice, we're going to be able to keep it up. I get, more parries. Really want to get that money economy going with, freaking Greed Shield, and it just is such a good item. As we're going to see, my money is just, at the end of this run, is going to be some insane numbers. So we do see a slammer here. I'm a little worried about it. I'm like, how do I do this without dying? So I lure him up here and just get my kills off. It's a little scary, but slammers are always kind of scary if you don't have something to hard counter them. But now that we got that, we can kind of just play through the rest of the biome, really kill stuff pretty quick. And it's, it's a pretty simple Corrupted Prison. Now what I'm really looking for, and I end up finding, I want to say, in this biome, is an infantry grenade, because what that does is we can bind it to our attack with Hayabusa Gauntlet and pretty much always have infantry grenade going off, because with Heart of Ice we're gonna have melee plus that, and basically every other punch is gonna add a burst damage that's really just gonna amp up our power a lot. So I want to say I find it right here. Let's see, what do we got? Yeah, there it is. And, it also has spreads of oil, which is nice, and bonus to poison. So stuff we can keep in mind if we find, like, a cleaver with poison spread. We do, clear out this section. We go up here and beat up this idiot, and we're going to see, what is that, Pyrotechnics, it looks like? Yeah, it's definitely Pyrotechnics. I think I remember seeing it now. But, that we're seeing that infantry grenade burst damage really go off well, and it's really the run's starting to come together. Now, Hayabusa Gauntlet does struggle a lot more in late game versus Hand of the King and the Spoiler boss, and it's gonna be, a little scary once we get there, but for now, I think we're pretty set for, like, the rest of the run up to that point. We can go into a boss like Conjunctivius, which is who we end up going to, and it works pretty well. I don't know how I didn't get hit there. It made no sense to me. I deserved to get hit so many times there. But yeah, we can go into Conjunctivius, which has the tentacles as the main threat, and it will end up working out pretty well for us. But for now, Greed Shield still just gonna keep getting us that money build up. We're at 30,000 now, so pretty good numbers considering we've bought a lot of things. We'll be able to take it into some later maps as well, and just our economy is starting to look really good for this run. We upgrade our amulet at 16, 4 and 2? yeah, so looking pretty good. I messed up with my my grabbing of dual scrolls, I think. Made my bulk a little lower than it needed to be, but yeah, we parry that idiot, and then we go over here and really just show off how that infantry grenade helps with Hayabusa Gauntlet's low damage at the start of a fight and getting it into that crit range. So we go into Conjunctivious, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. We have the shield to parry her, and then I end up taking combo as well in the last biome to, help that, but also to help with Conjunctivious. We'll be able to kill those tentacles pretty easily. Get our parry off, and we jump up here. We're going to get some burst damage going, and I end up standing on that platform and getting hit. Unfortunate, but, what can you do? What can you do? We parry that, and we're just going to chase her down, get some good hits off, and it goes really well. We get over here, and we're just going to do a parry and 1-2 combo, and it's dead. And we're just going to do that for every tentacle, basically, is the idea. Especially with combo, gonna really buff up our damage there. And it's also gonna help the fact that we're still using a level 4 Hayabusa Gauntlet to fight. But for the most part, we're going to have what we need to get the phase transition quick, because combo is going to carry for a few seconds there and let us just pretty quickly take her out. Down to the next phase, and we're going to rinse and repeat with the tentacles, parry, kill him with the burst damage, Lacerate Aura plus the grenade, just really going to work out well. So at this point, I am kind of worried about the fact that we're not finding a Hayabusa Gauntlet, like a new Hayabusa Gauntlet. So my thought process going forward after this fight, which I'm going to end pretty quickly right here, I think. I should end quickly. Double parry, and she's dead. Yeah. Oh, not quite. There she goes. But yeah, my thought process going forward was I'm probably going to want either a Hakuto Bow or a dual bind. That way it can just act as like a dot setter with the fast attack speed. But I end up going through Slumbering pretty simple. I still have the shield, which is going to help us out a lot during the curse. Got pretty lucky having an early curse with a lot of spread out enemies. That is just going to kind of let us get our kills off. We're going to need to be careful with dancers because of our short range, but it's fine, it's fine. We end up parrying that and actually activating a Lacerate, so I'm like, alright, I need to kill this thing right away. But yeah, went pretty well. I am surprised that hit me. I was a little bummed out by that, but it's fine. It's fine. We have a really solid scroll count starting off in Slumbering, and with Lacerate Aura plus Infantry Grenade, we should be okay. Infantry Grenade is going to put a lot of work in for this build. So we get up here and take out this Bombardier. Pretty simple. And we're sort of just seeing that, like, that Heart of Ice plus melee plus combo setup with the Infantry Grenade getting some good burst damage is really going to help us out with clearing biomes. We're going to be able to just put out a ton of burst damage right away, with the Lacerating Aura being really good at getting the final hit off, as well as the Hayabusa Gauntlet obviously having a good crit damage once it gets into that range. Even with something like a Golem, we can just pretty safely parry it and kill it in a 1-2 punch combo. So it really is going to work out pretty well here. We do find an elite dancer, which is always scary to see. One of the hardest enemies to fight with melee weapons, because their movement can just be really scary. But we go through Cavern. I'm like, alright, I want some good scroll counts. I want some double shops set up so I can hopefully get the Hayabusa Gauntlet, which, again, we don't get. But we're going to see that even with that very low level Hayabusa Gauntlet, it's going to do some really good damage here. So, it's working really well for the biome aspect, at least. And we see that we're at 66,000 gold, so we should be able to buy whatever we need to kind of fix this build. Pretty simple setup, and the Stun Grenade's Breach is also going to help us out here, because it's going to just let us kill things. Oh, don't forget you can parry those Arbiter Bombs once you kill them. But yeah, the Infantry Grenade's small breach number constantly going off is also going to help us get off the kill, because we're going to be stunning them and slowing them with melee, and it's really just going to work out well, especially because combo is just keeping us safe, getting the kills off, and we're going to make our way through activate that just so it's not an issue, and wait for the slammer to pop over, and he's dead. So pretty easy cavern, all things considered. Like, we're able to kill these enemies off in just a quick couple punches, and they can't provide much threat to us. So we end up taking a Firebrands. I'm like, alright, I got the bonus to bleed, I got some oil spread and some poison going on. What do I end up going for here? Oh, burning oil. Yeah, obviously. And I'm like, alright, I can get open wounds with the oil grenade, or the infantry grenade spreading oil, and I have a electrocutes the enemy corrupted power that should really just bump our damage up really well. So I end up going with open wounds, disengage, and I want to say combo for Hand of the King. Plus, I want to say I think I go high peak here because I wanted to try and find a new Hayabusa Gauntlet. But we go into Giant, pretty solid. We did take a potion at some point, and Cavern, I want to say, but it's fine, it's fine. I forgot to do my Tri-Bind setup here, but once I get it, we're going to see that the damage really racks up quick with the infantry grenade plus corrupted power, and just really good burst damage, really good damage in general, and we're going to take him out pretty quickly. Got his eye up with some good punches now that we're getting crits on him, and he's going to go for that, and we just need to play it safe, and we will get the no-hit. I want to say right there. Yep. So, really easy Giant. We didn't see anything good in our no-hit door, I don't think. Obviously, we didn't take it, so there's nothing really too interesting, but we do see a 3 red amulet, so, you know, our stats are insane right now. 3244 is more than enough to beat any run. So we're going to keep up with that burst damage. Firebrands are really going to put in some work with our oil spread and burning oil, and it's just going to go really well. And we have the corrupted power to buff that damage over time aspect with the open wounds and jump into a spike pit. That was probably unadvised, but it's all good. We just keep going through high peak, going pretty well so far. Looking for, you know, the keys, and it's a pretty solid high peak castle overall. We do end up getting an extra red because of the amulet, but we get through Hand of the King at 34, 5, and 5, I want to say is what that looks like, which is just insane numbers for Hand of the King. Like, if you can get to Hand of the King with 30, you're pretty set, and we have 34, so even though we have the low level Hayabusa Gauntlet, it's gonna be fine because we have the very good stats, so, you know, it kind of balanced it out well. We're going to just keep punching him, keep hitting him. We get the phase transition really quick, and now he's going to be getting crit by our Hayabusa Gauntlets, and we're going to have a combo buff, so we should be able to kill him really quick. So we're going to go for that, let him do his dash, and he's going to get some grenades off. Unfortunate, really unfortunate that we got the we lost the no hit, but with the crits going off, we kill him really quick afterwards. So it went pretty well. You know, obviously we lost the no hit, but it was fine. You already know that the Hayabusa Gauntlets were behind that legendary door, but we still have 59,000, so we'll be able to buy a potion, buy food, buy whatever we need in Astrolab, and with electrocutes nearby enemies, we're actually going to not even need to worry about these freaking librarians because they're just gonna die instantly. So, you know, we have the damage that we need to beat this map, and we're just going to keep up with the map. And again, that instant burst damage of infantry grenade is really going to help us out. We actually went with necromancy, soldier resist, and disengage, just so we have some more bulk while still being able to heal up pretty safely, was kind of my reasoning behind it, I want to say. Yeah, we don't have the Heart of Ice thing going on anymore, but it's going to keep us really safe in this biome, especially with soldier resist giving you 25% HP now at this point, and we start climbing through the tower, going really well. We did end up losing our our disengage there, but we healed it up pretty quick with what I assume was a watermelon from the shop or something like that, but you know, it's going fine. We have the corrupted power to help us out versus the slammer here, and we're just gonna see some insane damage. We pop them both instantly, so like, yeah, even though we have the low level gauntlets, I'm not worried at all because 35 red is just gonna hard carry. So we finish up the tower, climbing it up pretty quickly, and beat up this failed experiment here, and I'm feeling pretty good. Obviously, we don't have a good Hayabusa Gauntlet, but the Firebrands plus the Corrupted Power should be able to hard carry us, I think, with the Collector fight. Plus, we have 4 potions, so we can just take emergency triage, and we'll be safe. We'll be safe. Like, I'm not worried at all. Or we can go for a Heart of Ice strat, and I ended up seeing a grappling hook, and I'm like, oh, well, that sounds fun. So I'm like, I'll just quad bind and stun lock the Collector. So I re-roll my Firebrands, wanted to get some bonus to poison, I want to say. But I ended up getting 300%. I'm like, alright, well, that's going to help our damage issue. So the grapple hook is going to help our Hayabusa Gauntlet, and our damage is going to be pretty insane. So I'm going to be smart about it. I'm going to take disengage just in case I get hit by him once, because we have no survival mechanics at all, and I can just take Heart of Ice plus melee, I want to say. And I'm like, alright, set up, have the bonus to burn an oil going on and everything, and I decided to, I was like, you know what, let's just try and roll for plus 300% on our Hayabusa Gauntlet. So I use all my money and end up getting burning. So I actually lost damage on it, but it's not going to be the main damage dealer here. It kind of is because of grappling hook, but you know, we're just going to stun lock him really easily with melee, Heart of Ice, and grapple hook all going off. He's going to get a couple of hits off, but because we're just constantly slowing him and pulling him in, he's very rarely going to get anything of significance besides those stupid grenades. So we're going to roll, and we're going to roll, and we're going to be able to burst him down really quickly. And the quad bind obviously working super well here. I want to say that was 2 potions, and then yeah, we can clear it out here. We do not see a Thorny, which was what I was worried about. Or is it Spiker? I think it's Thorny. But we're going to be able to get him down to his final potion here really easily. And we're just at the last phase of it. And we're just gonna quickly hit him up with some damage, and hopefully be able to take him out right away. But he's going to go for that, and he's going to go for the potion. So I'm like, alright, just got to get this potion off. Roll through there, and we're going to actually get another no-hit to end it off. Good job, Hayabusa Gauntlet. Even at level 4, you did some work. This is actually a fight where Hayabusa Gauntlet tends to really struggle. So I was happy to see, like, obviously it didn't do much of the work there. That was mainly grapple hook plus Firebrands plus stun locking him going off. But yeah, it was really a fun run, and made me a little bit more positive on Hayabusa Gauntlet. I still think it struggles way too much against Hand of the King and Collector, but yeah, really fun run, and thanks for watching, everyone. This was a really fun project, and thanks for 500 subs. Holy crap, that's a lot of people. That is literally a small stadium of people that want to watch my content, and it's kind of overwhelming in a lot of ways, but yeah, thanks so much for getting me here, and I really appreciate it. So we'll see with some more standard runs and the Spite Sword guide, hopefully within a week or so. But yeah, thanks for watching, and have a great day, everyone.